So today's masterclass then is focused on how to become unstoppable so that you do the things that you need to do in business effortlessly and so that you achieve your goals faster without it feeling hard or slowing yourself down by getting in your own way, so that you show up as the best version of yourself with conviction and make more impact. Now, I love talking about how to achieve this because it's not widely known. And when people start to understand it, it transforms them. Investing time in this means that you start to achieve your highest levels of performance, you show up with your A game consistently, and you do what's needed so you actually achieve your goals faster with more ease, less work, less effort, less stress. So let me know into the chat then, would you like that? Would you like to become and feel unstoppable in business and in life in general? Good. So I can see we've got lots of people now saying where they're from. Lovely. If you keep doing that, and just let me know, like, are you ready to become unstoppable in business and life? Because that's what we're talking about today. So with that being said, my aims for today are these. They're to provide you with as much information as I can in the hour we've got together. So get out a notepad and pen because I'm sure you'll want to take some notes. I'm going to share with you insights and methods that are based in neuroscience so that you know what you need to do to become unstoppable, so that you achieve your goals faster, and also so that you know why what I talk about works. And I'm going to take some time at the end to introduce you to my Limitless Success Academy that really focuses on becoming limitless. So even when things are uncertain around you, you don't get held up, you make progress, you move forward and achieve your goals. Now, that being said, some of you will be interested in how to take it a step further and some of you won't. So even if that's not for you, you'll walk away with plenty of actions that you can take from today. And there's only one rule, which is no questions are off limit. I've built this business by sharing how I've changed my mindset, by sharing how I've built a mindset that supports me to succeed, and how I've used that to take myself, my business, my clients forward so that we all reach our goals faster. And I've shared the problems and challenges openly across social media. I'm really passionate about this, so I will answer any questions that you have at the end of today. If you do have a question, though, just on a side point, if you can pop them in the Q&A because they do tend to get a bit lost in the chat. I love it. I can just see Kerry say she's 100% ready. Brilliant. Love to hear it. So if we have not met before, I'm Leanne Bridges. I'm a high performance coach and I support business owners, leaders and high achievers to unlock their full potential so that they live a life of high performance and productivity and achieve their goals faster. I'm not going to spend ages introducing myself because I want to share as much as I can with you today. And I'll talk a bit more about my experiences as we go through. But if you want to learn more about me, you can find me across on LinkedIn. You'll also find stacks of tips and insights there because I post every day. You'll see lots of recommendations there for the work that I do and the results that I get with clients. So to connect with me, I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. Then you can use this QR code to look me up just by typing Leanne Bridges into the search bar there. And when you do that, I'd love to actually connect with you rather than you follow me. So if you go to connect, the connect button, which is underneath of the more button, and let me know you came to today's masterclass and I'll be certain to accept you. So the one fact I'm going to share about myself though is that all the things I talk about today I've actually experienced. I've been there, I've experienced it, I've made the changes that I talk about, and if you want to ask me more, absolutely do feel free to do that. So let me get into what you're here for. That's how to become unstoppable and use that to achieve your goals faster. So let's start here. So I regularly speak with business owners, leaders and consultants. At the moment, that's around 950 or more business owners, leaders and consultants, and it grows every week. And there are 5 reasons that I notice why people fail to get the results that they really deserve. And I'm going to take you through these now. And as I reveal them, I just want you to start to think about where you're at and where you might be struggling now, because I want you to leave today with some clarity about what you need to change, what that will get for you and the steps to take to do that. So I'm going to go through them now, and as I do that, just notice which ones are relevant to you, and then if it's resonating, that point, then just type the number into the chat so we can see the sorts of things that are coming up for people on the call today. So the first one is that they're setting goals, but after a couple of weeks they start to lose sight of them, maybe actually just a couple of hours, and so they may have well not set them at all. And in fact, some people aren't really setting or committing to goals, instead just like working working on doing better than before and hoping that that brings better results. And then what tends to happen is that they find that their days start to control them, and before they know it, it's 5 o'clock, and then it's like, well, I'll just do that tomorrow. And so they're not really progressing on the truly important tasks because they get bogged down in the daily grind of it all and just start to really lose sight of their goals. The day-to-day is just taking over. So if that point resonates for you, then just type 1 into the chat and let's see who that's resonating for. So the second is that they believe that the latest silver bullet strategy or course will be the answer to achieving their goals or making the impact they want to make, and that it will be the answer to success, only to find several months on that it's not, and then they just find that they're back to square one. Now, I think we probably all know deep down that more information, especially when you're established and a mature person in business, just isn't the answer. You know, what I've noticed by working with like hundreds of business owners and leaders now is that they actually already know what to do. It's just they're not getting to the bottom of what's getting in the way from them doing it or implementing it in a way that's really effective. And so what that means is that they go from one thing to the next, hoping it's the answer, and then place their hopes in these external solutions, but overlook the internal factors, like whether they're showing up confidently with conviction, whether they're doing all the things that they need to be doing, how quickly they bounce back when things don't work, you know, whether they're getting slowed down when things go wrong, and fundamentally, whether their mood is determining their progress. And so all of these sorts of the things are, you know, the underlying reasons why these new strategies don't work. If I give you an example, I had a client, he was a business owner, and he'd invested, when I started working with him, thousands in a new SEO optimized website to get more leads, and it looked like brilliant. Was it important? Yeah, of course it's important. Was it the answer to his problem? It wasn't the answer to the problem, because his real issue was that he wasn't pursuing sales opportunities with confidence. So he found conversations with new prospects felt really uncomfortable. And what was driving that is because he had this subconscious thought that salespeople and sales are slimy. And so what was driving that is him to feel uncomfortable in sales situation was that view. Excuse me, I had a bit of a cough. Let's hope that doesn't affect. Right. So he was not feeling comfortable in selling situations. So he wasn't getting in front of enough customers. And when he did, he wasn't converting them because of how he was showing up. Oh dear, this could be a problem. So the new website was never going to sort that problem out because it was bringing in new leads, but it wasn't changing his mindset, which was meaning he wasn't converting new prospects into clients. So type 2 into the chat if that point resonates for you. If you find yourself looking at the next silver bullet course or strategy, thinking it's going to be the answer, only to find out it's not. Excuse me, right. Oh dear. Well, I'll see how this goes. So we've got some, so if you type into the chat, if 1 or 2 have come up for you, that'd be great. And then we'll move on from there. So. Right, number 3 is they know that they need to be more visible, perhaps go to more networking meetings or reach out to their existing network more, or form stronger connections internally in their organisation, or talk more about their successes or publish more on social media. And even though they need to be more visible and put themselves out there more, they don't do it. So just type 3 into the chat if you find that you probably need to be more visible, but just find you're not able to do it. And then the 4th reason is that they're avoiding difficult situations or conversations that need to be addressed. And so even though they're busy action takers, they're avoiding some business critical tasks, situations or decisions, clearly not all of them, but just a few things that really hold them back from getting the results they could. I had one client that was talking to me about an issue that he had with a supplier, and he just couldn't seem to bring himself to do it. They'd worked in his business for a long time, and he said it was just taking up so much headspace worrying about having to let them go. And he'd actually spent half of the last few weeks worrying about it, and it was distracting him, and it was wasting his time and energy, and it was costing time that he could have been using to do things that actually added value. And it was really like doubt and fear that just kept flooding back in about the issue, meaning that he wasn't dealing with it. And it was like this mental looping that kept going on that was taking up time and burning through energy that he could have been using on productive work. Now, all these people I talk about today, they've got years of experience. They run businesses or they're actually in senior leadership roles, but these feelings of doubt and fear just keep coming back in over and over again, and they just get in their way. So type 4 into the chat if you've ever got held up going round in circles in your head when you really should have decided, acted and moved on, because there's a mindset issue that causes it. It's a pattern you can break, and I'll share more about it later on, because it's actually not your fault and it is solvable. And when you crack it, you achieve more in less time and with less stress. Excuse me. Right then. Oh, great. I can see everyone's typing into the chat now. Lovely. So I'll come back to number 1 after, Charlotte. So number 5, they feel like they're capable of so much more. In fact, they know they are. But they think that just by working harder, they'll get there, constantly saying to themselves, this time next year, but they just don't feel like they ever get there. And so type 5 into the chat if this one applies for you. So you feel like you're capable of so much more, you work hard, but you don't ever really seem to get where it is you want to go. Okay, so I'm sorry about this cough. Hopefully in a minute it will sort itself out. So, right. Good. Okay, so I can see there are lots of 3s and 4s there. We'll see what happens with 5. Sometimes they come into my feed a little bit later. Yeah, I can see 5 coming in now. Okay. If anybody's on and they don't want to share into the chat, do feel free to share it privately with me too. So, whichever one resonates with you, just know that if you've got any of these issues, by the end of today, you'll understand what you need to be doing to be able to start making the change that you need so you can achieve your goals faster and in an easier way. And I'm going to be doing that by sharing with you this system. Right, I'm actually just going to go and sort this situation out with this cough. So give me 2 seconds and I'm going to be right back. There we are. You can never guarantee what's going to happen on a live masterclass, can you? So whichever one of those that you need to do, and by the end of today, I'm going to help you with how to move forward. And this is a system that I'll use. So the reason I share this is because it's what I use to teach everything that I do. It underpins everything. See, what I notice happening is that people do bits and pieces of self-development or mindset work and they don't see results. Then they don't get the outcomes that they want, so they think it doesn't work. But that's because they haven't got the whole process. And that's what you need to develop a mindset that's really strong and resilient for business, is the whole process. So that you're not on that roller coaster of one day feeling like you're winning and the next day just wanting to like jack it all in. So the first question I want to answer, and I think is really important to answer, is why should we bother focus on becoming unstoppable? Why is that even a thing? Now, there are some fundamental reasons why I think today's presentation is going to be useful for you. The first one is this is my favourite. Life's too short. You know, we don't have forever to get the results that we want. And most people that are here now, if you're here, you probably know you need to make a change. It's likely you've been thinking about doing it for a while, and people tend to procrastinate on doing it. So my advice now is to work out what it is that's holding you back and take a decision about how you'll move that forward. Knowing that when you crack this and start going all out, you'll start to move forward so much faster. The second reason is that you are the single biggest asset that you have. And when you learn how to make the most of yourself, you have more impact. You show up with a strong presence, with conviction, you're highly productive and you're focused and you just get on with what's needed. And I did some analysis in 2023 on my program. And people's output when they focused on becoming unstoppable increased by 71%. Now, before the programme, people had said to me, I just haven't got a single more hour in a day. I am so busy. And by the end of the programme, they were 71% more productive. So it happens, it wasn't a time issue or an overwhelm issue. It's just that they weren't operating at their full potential and being as effective as they could possibly be. And so then the third reason is that most people I work with want to feel a sense of inner peace, mental freedom and physical freedom too. And so while we're doing all of these things that are unknowingly slowing us down, we end up working like too many hours, spending too much of our life just thinking about work. And when you become unstoppable, you are highly productive, you do high value tasks and you do all the tasks needed to achieve your goals. And then you park the rest until the next day. You feel a sense of like mental and physical freedom from all this. So in terms of today, that's why we should do it. I'm going to go into sort of like how to do this now. There are 3 core parts I'm going to work through with you. And they are these, get clarity, because that's the first step in all of this. And I'll go through why. And then we're going to talk about how you reprogram your mind for success. And I'm going to walk you through the 5 steps I use with clients so that you're clear, so that once you've started to get clear on the actual issue, that you have the steps to deal with it so that it stops happening. And then I'll talk about what it's like when you become limitless, just for a short time at the end. So part 1 then is to get clarity. Now, the thing is, the reason I talk about this first of all is because most people don't know what it is that gets in their way. They just can't make sense of it. They know what they need to do, what they should be doing. They know how to do it, but they aren't doing it. And as a result, they aren't getting the success they want or living life in the way that they want to. So I'm going to help you now to start to get some clarity for yourself, to give you some insights for yourself. Now, we obviously won't have time to go very deep on this, but I just want to start doing with you so you get started on it. And I can't stress enough how important this is. This is really, really vitally important. The thing is, most people want to get to the fun part of solving the problems, and I'm like that myself too. But there's a piece here about really understanding what's going on and why it's important. And I just talk you through an example about Rob, one of my clients, and I'll talk about lots of my clients today and why it was so powerful. These things are so powerful for them. So Rob, by the way, this isn't him. Most of the people I talk about won't want me to put a picture of them on the display today, but just to give you a bit of an idea of the sort of person I'm talking about. So Rob got to the point where he just felt like enough was enough. He felt like he was really limiting himself. And working with me, he got really clear about what it was that he needed to do to actually move forward, and why he wasn't doing it now. And so he used a strategy that I'll share with you today, and it transformed his business and his life. Now, he didn't have to do it. He actually runs a successful business. He employs a team of people. He's got a really good lifestyle. But he was fed up with business. He was sick to death of it. He was permanently stressed about it, about whether there'd be enough work for the team for next month. And he felt like he was surviving month to month, worrying about problems in his team, and he just felt like jacking it in. Now, when we looked at what was going on for him, he wasn't doing enough business development or sales activity. He was actually giving away too much to customers. So when they complained about something, he would give them more than they contractually should really have got. He wouldn't go in after projects if he perceived that there were other suppliers going that were better than him. And he wasn't putting quotes out on jobs. There was all sorts of things that he wasn't doing. And the thing is, he knew how to do all those things. So he couldn't understand why on earth it was he wasn't doing them, because he could do all of them. Now, when we got to the bottom of this, it's because he had a blind spot. But what was happening is that his view of himself, his self-image, and the negative stories that he was telling himself about things in his mind were impacting every day on his mood and his motivation. And that was the reason for his lack of action. Okay, and once he started to understand what was going on, and I helped him uncover specifically what it was that sat behind that meant he wasn't taking the action, and we changed it, he became unstoppable. So for him, what that meant is that he had orders, excuse me, a 6-month pipeline of orders when he'd previously been having orders come in month to month. That wasn't because he had I gave him any silver bullet sales strategy. He just started to make the most of himself, understand how his mind was working, how to use it to best effect. You know, he started to set prices and contractual terms and stick to them, and his business is rocketing as a result. And just like the revelation that Rob had, I can't tell you how many people say to me consistently, I wish I'd done this years ago, because when you've made these changes, you just wonder why you wouldn't do it. It just doesn't make any sense. But the problem is, most people don't know how to do it because they would have already done it otherwise. So I want to take the opportunity now, having said that, and I hope that makes it clear why it's so important, because it looked to him like it's a sales, it looks to him like it's got a business development issue, but it isn't. It's actually something inside of him that was stopping him. And so that's why it's important to get to the bottom of what it is for you that's going on. So I want you now just to think about, put the question up, what's one big thing that you could do or that you need to change that would really move you forward? What is it for you that you would really like to do, or you know you need to do, but that would really move you forward? So just type that into the chat now. I'm going to just leave, I'm just going to leave a minute for you to do that, for that to start coming through. 71%, that's amazing. I've got to say, they were pretty happy with that result. It's and for some of them, it's like 100%. So yeah, the results are incredible in terms of productivity. So, okay, let's see. They haven't started coming through my end, but I know sometimes I'm a little bit delayed behind you. So let me know, like, what is it that would make a really big difference for you if you actually did it and felt great doing it too? What is it that would make a fundamental difference for you? Okay, here we go. Get access to non-followers and non-clients. So take it that you're looking for new leads, to achieve a passive income. Okay, what else? Let's hear what else it is. What would make a real difference for you? And then if you've done that, I just want you to go on and answer the next question is, if you fast forward 6 months and it doesn't happen, what are the consequences for you? Okay, so if you don't do the thing that you want, you don't achieve it, or something doesn't change for you, and then in 6 months' time that hasn't happened, what are the consequences for you? Okay, learn to stop self or get into more social situations, help with social anxiety. Yeah, okay, to find your avatar. You know, sometimes with finding your avatar is quite interesting, because sometimes that can be an issue about actually feeling okay with sticking on a client avatar. And so quite often the hesitation is around, am I going to limit myself by doing that? And fear crops up, and it'd be interesting to know if that's the case for you. Yeah, be in the same position as I am today. This is it, okay? So that's for a lot of people, is that it goes on. And the reason I ask you this is because for year after year after year, sometimes this goes on. And I know for me, I wanted to start a business when I was 26. It took me till I was 43 to actually do it. And that was all about like things within me that were stopping me. So, okay. Yeah, risk of things not launching being forever delayed. This is a problem with this whole like just going on and on and on and actually putting a stop to it. So I'm gonna in a minute start to get into what's going on for that, because and I started to allude to it actually a little bit for, who was it, Paul? There's stuff going on that is actually causing the problem. So I'm going to get into what that is in a minute. But what I am going to do at the end of today's call is I'm going to offer you the opportunity to join me on a call. And actually what we'll do together is start to talk about and identify more about what it is that you need to get done, why you're not doing it, and we'll actually create a plan for you to make that mindset shift, so that this never or rarely, because let's be real, it may crop back up again, but when it does, you actually know what to do about it, so that it never or rarely happens again. And I'll show you how my program will help you to do that. Now, the calls are with me. They're for 20 to 30 minutes. If you'd like one of those calls, then I've got 15 slots available right now. And once they're gone, they're gone. I don't really want to run another one of these masterclasses again. So if you know that you want one, then just book as we go through. There's a QR code and a URL that you can use there to apply for one of them. And there are just a couple of questions for you to answer so that we can make the most of the 20 to 30 minutes we have together. And I'll move on now, but if you, as we go through, you decide you want one of those calls, then every now and again, you'll see the QR code or the URL pop up. So once you've got clarity on what it is you want to get done, there are these 5 steps then that you need to take to achieve the mindset change, so that you do them effortlessly. And so this stops being a problem for you. So these 5 steps then are in the Reprogram for Success, which is part 2 of the workshop today. So I'll talk you through those now, and the 5 steps in the process I've already put on the screen of these. And I'll work through each one of them with you, and so that you know what it is you need to do to create this transformation. So the first is, as it says here, foundations and fundamentals of mindset change. So this is all about understanding how your mind works and then what's going on for you. So to start to set this in some context, what lots of people don't realise, you may, but some people don't realise, is that their unconscious mind is actually driving 95% of their results. See, what people don't understand is that we've got a conscious and unconscious mind, and that you can see here the difference between the two. We do the thinking that's in our awareness, in our conscious mind, like when we're going through something and we're like figuring out how to do everything. And in the unconscious part of our mind, we store all the things that we've learned to do in our life, and more importantly, and for this, all the things we've come to believe about ourselves. And what this means is, where we've got a negative perception of ourselves or a situation based in the past and not the truth, we'll default to unhelpful or unresourceful ways to deal with them, like automatically. So these programs and the responses they create within us operate like computer programs, like default settings. And so as things happen, we automatically process them. Then we go into our unconscious, and in milliseconds, we find how to respond to it without the need for like a conscious thought around what to do or say, which means that we automatically are doing what we do, acting how we act, and saying what we say. And we all think that the logical part of our brain that we're using for conscious thinking is running our life, but it's just not. Our unconscious is running our day. If you think back now to how much of what you say isn't thought through carefully, how many actions you take in a day that you know you need to do, but you don't think about doing, decide to do, there'll be thousands. Your unconscious is running 95% of your life. So the first thing to know is that your unconscious is having a significant impact on your results. Right then, so to explain how it works, I'm going to share with you my experience, and it'll help to put into some context, and you'll start to see the patterns that are driving it. So if you see here the pictures of me, I look like I had the perfect life. It looks amazing, doesn't it? I've got lovely kids, partner, home, go on loads of holidays, had an amazing career before I started this business. And here I was in it, I think probably looking like I had it all. I've been working as an international HR director. We were winning awards for how we were employing people. I, of course, was leading on the people agenda. So on the face of it, really successful. But what nobody knew is that I really struggled with how I was thinking. I was overthinking, I was worrying, I was overworking. I felt really tired by it all and unsure whether I could achieve more. But deep down, I just had this sense like I had so much more in me. And what was happening is this. I used to believe things like, I don't know enough to be leading on this, even though I had 25 years experience. And then I think, well, there must be better HR directors out there than me. My company, they're going to want someone else when they see that I'm not good enough for this. And then I'd see other people and I perceive them to be better than me. So I go to conferences and see other HR directors. And without any evidence, I would perceive that those people were totally nailing it. And logically, I knew I was good at my job. I was getting paid full bonus. I was getting fantastic reviews. Logically, I knew it, but I just didn't feel capable. And that's because this is more of an emotional problem and not a logical problem. And the thing is, I started to feel quite ashamed for how I was thinking and feeling, and about doubting myself. I felt like it was weird or abnormal or I was inadequate. And I hated it when I spoke and I felt like people weren't really listening to me. And then only 10 minutes later, someone else would say the exact thing that I'd said, but everybody was there nodding and agreeing with them. And so that used to really frustrate me. And then I'd be fed up because I'd be trying to perfect everything. And I was just wasting time that I could have been spending with my family, perfecting work that really just didn't need it. And I just wondered why it was I just couldn't get on with it and find an easier way, like other people seem to. But actually, it's just how I became programmed to behave. And what I actually needed to do was just reprogram my brain. Now, I tried really hard in this role to grow myself. I read loads of books, I did courses. For instance, I didn't feel, as I've said there, I didn't feel very influential. And so I read loads on it. I did a whole load of courses. But despite knowing what it took to be more influential, I wasn't doing it in a way that was having any more influence or any more impact. And that's because I didn't need to know how to be more influential. I needed to be more influential. And so knowledge isn't the same thing as having a skill. You know, you can't read a book on confidence and it make you confident. So no matter what books I read, I couldn't have any more influence or have any more conviction because I didn't have the skill, because my brain was working on these old patterns, these old programs that just didn't allow me to show up in that way. So I had to reprogram my brain. And what I've found is that lots of experts don't actually know how to do this either. And I worked with, in this time, 2 coaches, I did some CBT, I had a counsellor at one point, and these people would just say to me, Leanne, you just need to think differently. I'd be like, oh, tell me something I don't know, because they didn't know how to reprogram your brain so that it actually works for you and not against you. And what many people don't realise is that they've hardwired into their minds some false beliefs about themselves that are impacting on how they behave, what they do, and the results that they get. You see, when we're young, things happen, and the things that we're told we accept as facts. And then we go through our whole life believing at an emotional level that these things are true. And you can hear from my story that one of these things for me was this underlying false belief that I wasn't good enough. And it was manifesting itself everywhere. And so no matter what your childhood, though, you could have had a really wonderful childhood, people pick up these beliefs. Because earlier in our life, we just can't rationalise these things. It's just not how we work. And so we accept them as the truth. And the sorts of things people pick up, they vary obviously person to person. But here are some of them that I hear all the time. Things like, I don't feel capable enough. I'm not sure if I'm really good enough. I don't think I know enough. I don't feel smart enough. And I talk to lots of people about these things, and these thoughts and feelings are all just so common, and they're really human. It's just what we accidentally come to believe about ourselves. And people find it hard to grasp how on one hand they know that they're good enough, smart enough, capable enough. In fact, they know they're capable of amazing results because lots of the people I work with are really smart. But here's the thing, they just don't feel that way. They know it, but they don't feel it. And it's the feeling and this default programs that go with it that are actually stopping them. Because if it was logical that these people, they'd have worked out already because they're smart, they've got good businesses, they've got great careers, but they know that they're not using their full potential. And this is why it is. So I help people uncover these false beliefs. And what they realise is they've been connected to these unhelpful ways of being and thinking for years, and that it's just so unnecessarily holding them back. But the thing is, and you'll be pleased to hear, it is absolutely possible to change it. Otherwise, why would you be here today? Like I did for myself in the end, and the impact I have to say for me and for my clients too, but just talking about myself has been incredible. It's an absolute life changer. You know, I'm living the life now that I want. I've created a business that I love. I believe in myself. I've set big goals. I feel excited. My business is growing. And obviously in business, like, there are things that don't work out for me. Of course there are, and there are problems on the way, but I find that I can just move through them now in a way that I just never could before. And so I enjoy selling my service. I love the impact my business has. I'm really proud to share my business with people, sell my services, and I've created a life of freedom for myself now. And I've got a business that just creates time and space for me. So to get the whole transformation for myself and my clients, as I said, I've got this framework based in neuroscience, and it just changes your thinking patterns so that you behave differently, you make more impact, you're more visible, you promote yourself, and ultimately you just get a sense of inner peace that you might not have felt in a really long time. So just let me know into the chat for you. Lots of my clients come to me because they want to achieve more, but actually they also want to feel a sense of inner peace too. So let me know if that's a thing for you. So, okay, so it hasn't come through yet. We'll come back to that and wait for it to come through. So that's step one. It's about understanding the fundamentals about how your mind works so you take control of it, and also establishing these false beliefs that are getting in the way of you achieving your goals. So if we move into step two then of my process, it is about reprogramming then your thoughts and reactions. So this is where the magic happens. So it isn't magic, by the way, but it feels like magic. So in the same way that you once created these programs, you can recreate them too. It makes sense, doesn't it? You created it, so you can of course recreate it. And when you recreate the programs, they drive you forward and empower you. So step two is about doing that. The thing is, most people try to change their behaviour to change their results. But it's really hard to do that, nigh on impossible, because the root cause is actually about our identity and beliefs. It's not about our behaviour, really. So like for me, while I didn't feel good enough, I couldn't show up with conviction. And so no end of training could change that. So to make a long and lasting change, you need to reprogram your identity and your beliefs. You need to have a powerful self-image and belief system that's programmed to seek out success so that you're not held back by how you feel and what's gone before. And the most successful and long-lasting change happens when you reprogram your belief and identity, because you can see here, it's like nearly impossible to change your behavior without it. You're just always battling against yourself. And that's the struggle that many people feel all the time. And unconscious programs are so powerful. And just to show you how this works is, and how they impact our behaviour all the time. So if you've got a belief, like if we get into this sort of granularity, to say I'm not smart enough, and I don't, it will be different for everyone. But let's take that one. If you're going to see a potential new client, you might think things like, oh, I bet they'll see other people who are much better than me, or more experienced or more knowledgeable than me. And then the impact on that is that you might find that you feel nervous and you can't think straight. And then that leads you to stumbling over your words and not having conviction. And all of these things mean that you don't get the outcome you want. But it all starts back in our beliefs and our identity. And that's what's impacting on our behaviour and then impacting on the results we get. So, as I say, in the way that we once created them, we can recreate them too. So the slide for that. Let me move into Bella then and just talk to you about how this worked for her, to give you an example of how this worked in practice. You know, she wasn't making sales in her business. She did all the courses, she read all the books, she knew all the strategies, but what she uncovered was it isn't a skills problem, because she knew how to do all the things. It's not a knowledge issue. What it was, though, is a belief issue. She didn't believe that success was meant for her. That's how she felt. And it didn't make any sense, of course, but that's how fundamentally she felt. And that was what was driving it. And so what was happening is when she showed up with clients, she wasn't showing up with conviction. And people can sense this stuff, you know, where you get a sense like you aren't convinced by somebody, where the person doesn't feel credible. That was the issue for Bella. And what she did to resolve it is reprogram her identity and beliefs so that she could see herself as a successful businesswoman, as she is, and believe at her core that she would succeed. And once she did that, she was closing sales. You know, let me know, have a think for yourself. Does that happen for you? Do you find yourself showing up without the self-assurance and conviction that you actually should? Because the thing is, until you deal with your identity and your beliefs and you reprogram your brain for success, you'll never really reach the next level or get the success you want. Or if you do, it's going to be such a struggle. And it's important then that you reprogram your beliefs using mindset techniques that work. You can't push through this stuff with willpower. That's what most people try and do, and it doesn't work, and it just feels so hard. You need to program your brain in a way that you have got different belief systems. And in my academy, I share techniques with clients to specifically do this that are grounded in neuroscience. They are so powerful and they are really quick and effective. And people actually then start to, as Bella did here, do the things that they couldn't do or have been avoiding with so much more ease. So, having reprogrammed your thoughts and reactions, the third step is this. You need to then embed the change and move forward with new mindset principles. As with all of these stages, there's quite a lot to them. So I'm just going to cover a bit of this with you now. That piece I think is fundamental from this. So what you're needing to do here is really deepen the change that you've already made. And one of the things to do in this stage is to address old feelings that are holding you back. So to show you how your feelings are impacting you, you may well know this already. You've experienced it, I dare say, all the time. But I just want you to think about something that you need to do now. Something you need to do, but you don't like doing, or you're actually avoiding. Just think about something for you that you no need to share it into the chat. I want to do an exercise with you. Something that you don't like doing or you avoid doing. As you think about doing that, really let yourself think about doing it, and think about doing it after this masterclass. As you start to do that, just notice how that makes you feel. Just notice the feeling you get. For lots of people, they'll get a feeling in their tummy or in their head. They get a negative feeling. It's that feeling there that's holding you back. That's what's stopping you moving forward, because our mind and our body are just so interconnected. So what you need to do is actually reset these feelings and learn how to reprocess them so that they don't get in your way. And today I want to talk a bit about fear, things like apprehension, nervousness, worry, anxiety, all those things that come under the fear umbrella, because it's so common for people to get unnecessarily held back because of fear, because people like certainty. And the degree to which you can handle uncertainty will directly affect how successful you are in business. So that being said, for you, like when things get tough, do you have a way to move forward easily, or do you just find yourself, like so many people do, like hesitating and feeling uneasy or procrastinating on it, and then just it runs round and round in your head and it holds you up? Because if you do find yourself doing that, it really isn't your fault. It's just not having a way to break through it and overcome it. And I know I've told you I've been there, you've seen the pictures, and for my clients and myself, it's been game-changing learning how to do that. Now, fear can feel like a really difficult topic, and there are times when I wonder whether to bring it into this masterclass, but hey, you know, we need to talk about it. The reason it's a difficult topic is because it's not very nice to admit, is it? It's not very nice to admit that we feel worried or scared or nervous, because we feel like we shouldn't, for many of us. Certainly, like lots of high achievers find that they just feel like they shouldn't be that way, feel that way in their life, that in some way they need to be superhuman and just be able to do it all. And the thing is, what we don't realise with fear is that we are storing it up over time and building more and more of it. Because unconsciously we store all the memories of all the things that happened that need us to be fearful, because what our brain wants us to do is to learn from them so that we don't do them again. And then as we see similar situations, so it might not even be the same thing, our brain will create an emotion like fear. And so we might find ourselves reacting in this disproportionate or unnecessary way. You know, you find people saying with fear things like, oh, I'd sooner die than speak in public. Well, of course, nobody died from public speaking that I know of, but that's because we've built up the fear around it to stop ourselves from doing it. And so while we leave all these memories of negative experiences in our mind, they'll create feelings like fear, and we will not move forward. Now, fear was an issue for Christine, who's a client of mine, and I'll tell you about how she overcame it. She wasn't making headway in her business because she didn't like cold sales. I'm talking a lot about people with sales today. Equally work with lots of clients that work in corporate roles too, but those seem to be the case studies I've picked out for you today. But so for Christine, she wasn't making headway, and she needed to do cold sales because that's a strategy that she wanted to implement to grow her business, because she works in retail, so it's easy to turn up in a shop and have a conversation with somebody. But she found that despite that being easy to go and actually do, that fear was getting in the way of her doing it. She just didn't want to do it. She would have been really happy to grow her business by networking, but she really didn't want to go out cold visiting, cold calling on shops. And she couldn't understand what was going on, because of course she could walk into a shop and have a conversation, but she wasn't doing it. And that was because fear was getting in the way. Now, with Christine and lots of my clients, like, fear is a problem. Fear of making a mistake, fear of putting yourself out there, fear of other people saying, like, what do they know? And I think the biggest fear that really underlies it all is, what will people think if this doesn't work out? That seems to be a really big issue. Sometimes we don't want to make the mistake, but the bigger issue can be, and how will that look? So all those things really hold people up. So to move forward, we have to let go of the memories and all those associated negative feelings that we've stored from the past that hold us up, so that you can free yourself and go into these situations like free of all that stuff from the past that's just not relevant anymore. Now, Christine did that. She overcame fear. She invested in herself. And she says that she no longer felt fear, self-doubt, not good enough. In 10 weeks, she increased her income by 50%. And for her, life's unrecognisable. She wished she did it 20 years ago. And it's a really common story. Now, she nearly didn't do this because she was investing time and money in this, and that's really time and money that she wanted to invest in other things in the stage of business she was at right then. But she says she's so glad she did, because everything changed for her. So, step 4. Once you've then dealt with those first 3 steps, so you've worked out how your mind works, you've understood what's going on for you, you've reprogrammed your thoughts and reaction, you've dealt with underlying fears or emotions that are getting in the way of you moving forward, the next step is about social success. because you'll know this, the quality of our relationship has a major impact on our success, doesn't it? So having done all of that is about finessing your relationships with other people and getting the connections that you really want to have with other people in a way that really works. And if you think of the people that you know who are really great with people, the sort of people that when they speak, people listen, who people are drawn to and want to be around, these kind of like magnetic characters, people often think that that way of being people are just born with, and it just isn't true. People can learn this. So step 4 is about finessing our social skills. And I mean, there's so much more than I can cover again on this today, but let me just pull some pieces out for you to get you started on that track. So let me ask you this. Do you notice in some situations with some people you could be on form and be your best self, and then in another situation you'll find yourself being underconfident or nervous? And wonder what that's all about. Why can't you transpose the confidence and certainty in one situation to another? And the reason for that is because you've programmed yourself to act in a certain way with them or those types of characters. And that's a different way to other people, and these people, that person, are like triggers for you. And what that means is you can't be your best self when you're with them. And I had a client of mine who was on an executive team, and he said that he would go into board meetings and he would feel like the little boy in the boardroom, despite not feeling like that anywhere else in his life. And he said he got this sense that, and it again wasn't rational, that he didn't feel like he was clever enough or experienced enough, that other people might think that, despite I think he's very intelligent. And so he'd find himself not being very assertive in meetings, feeling defensive and not able to articulate himself like in a way that was really working. Now, this client, he's in his late 40s. He works in a really large PLC. He's managing a huge team. And so couldn't figure out what all of that was about. But actually, it was just about his programming. And so he learned to reprogram his brain so that he was unaffected by these people. And now he shows up with influence, with charisma. Instead of struggling through those meetings, he's now totally comfortable in these situations. And he's delivering so much better. And he said to me that he's making so much more impact and really influencing things to move forward. So that's step 4. And then step 5 is habits. So the last step is about heading off with habits for success. And the reason this is so important is that you need to make sure at this point, having made all of that change, that you don't fall back into old ways. That's so critically important. And so it's about identifying at that point some habits that will mean that you keep that way of being, and also that you continue to grow and thrive. And I had a client who recently this was so important for, and this in itself probably wasn't a success story. You know, he started to go through a really difficult time in his business after we worked together, and his sales took a nosedive because one of his major clients reduced their orders. They didn't need as much from him. It just was how it was. And what could have happened in that moment is that he could have just let all that get on top of him. But instead of that, he held his head, he took corrective action, and he dealt with that immediate problem. And then he continued to build for the future. And it was that actually saved his business, because then he went on and said to me, you know, he did all that stuff. He maintained like this mindset and just worked through it all and continued to push on through, knowing he would get there in the end with complete self-assurance. And that's what he did. He said, I had so much more strength and resilience, and he weathered the storm, and his business gained momentum again, and his sales grew, and his business is in a great space again now. But, you know, there was a massive risk that he could have just taken that step backwards. So that's why habits are so important then beyond this, so that you actually maintain that really great mental headspace. So that takes me then to part 3 of today's masterclass, which is about becoming limitless. And, you know, here's the thing, and I think you may or may not agree with me, you can tell me in a minute into the comments, but, you know, people achieve more. I think we all achieve more when we've got an empowered, powerful mindset. And you'll likely have days when you feel highly motivated and others where you don't. And you'll know that on the days where you feel really motivated, you'll get loads done. And on days where you're not, you probably won't get as much done. And as we've already said, you know, we can't have our businesses or our business success be determined by our mood and how we're feeling. or our default patterns and reactions. And so you can become limitless by taking all the steps I've gone through with you so that you are motivated and disciplined to continue on, like no matter what happens, no matter what curveballs you get, you just keep pressing on, so that you focus relentlessly on critical tasks and get them done, like the tasks you identified earlier on. And that's because you've got the right mindset for it. So you just find it so much easier. Imagine now that you actually get those things that you've been avoiding or dreading, or that you want to get done. What would that mean? You know, what would that mean for you? What difference would it make? Wouldn't it be great never to have that happen again? Or if you did, to know how to shift yourself out of the place you're in so that you can move forward quickly. Because when you remove all the blocks and become that limitless person, you do what you need to do in a powerful way, and that gets you the results that you want. But people often say to me this, which is when they do all the things that they need to do, and then they start to get the results they want, then they'll become the person they want to be. Then they'll feel successful. Can you see how this thinking, it just doesn't work? You have to become the person you want to be in order to get the results that you want. So let me recap with you. My cough's held out here, so thank you for bearing with me. So let me recap on how you can move forward from here today. My 5 serious recommendations for you, if you would like to take them, having been there and done it myself and experienced all of this, is to commit to a self-mastery strategy and dealing with your blind spots. You know, and then don't guess. Like, work out exactly what the false beliefs are that are limiting your success. Reprogram your neural pathways, your mindset, so you become the person that you want to be. And then the third is that fear holds so many people back, and that's because they don't know how to effectively control it. So find a way that works, because life really doesn't have to be so hard. And then look at your social interactions, identify what it is you need to do to show up as your best self. And then once you've done all of the inner work, put some habits in so that you actually remain unstoppable. You keep yourself in that really good mental headspace. Because to become unstoppable and get the results you deserve, you absolutely don't need to work harder, do more, or cope better. But what you do need is a process to effectively uncover your blind spots and reprogram your brain for success. And for the people that come into my world, they are incredibly capable. All they need to do is get to a point where they get the results that they want and they deserve in a much easier way. So let me know then into the chat if that's something that you would like. I'm going to come across and have a look into the chat. Right. Okay, so let me know if that's something that you would like. Oh, someone's saying no sound. I hope that's just for them and not for everyone. Okay, so let's see where we are. Okay, well, everybody's still live, so I assume we've got sound. Right, so we'll continue on, and I'll wait for that to come through. Look, I hope what I've shared for you has been useful for you so far, and it's going to be time for Q&A just shortly. And you can just ask me anything you like, then I'll answer it for you. I'll be really straight with you. But for those of you that this is resonating with, and those of you who are sat here realizing that you need to do something different, that you want to live the life you want to live, you want to get the results you want to get, and you're ready to actually get this done, for those people, I've got an opportunity, which I'll share very briefly with you now. It's only for you, and it won't be for everyone, if you're taking a really long, hard look at this and realizing you don't have enough clarity on what's going on, you don't have a strategy to change how you're being and how you're showing up, and how you're getting stuff done, and so that you become limitless in your life. And if you're sat here being really honest with yourself and you know that you really want to make this change, as I say, it's for a certain type of person who wants to achieve that now and they really want to make this long-lasting change. It's a program, it's with in-person coaching and mentoring, it's with accountability that's going to motivate you to get this work done. So if you're not willing to do the work, please don't take this any further, because it won't be for you. But what I've got is the framework that I've shared with you already, And I've got all of the steps within that for you to follow, because there's obviously a lot more to it than I could possibly share with you in an hour. But it basically takes you through all the steps that you need to take to change your thinking, so that you change your mindset and get the results that you want. To get all those things done that you need to do to move forwards and become the person that you actually want to be in your life, and get the results that you really truly deserve. And I'm there to support you with that all of the way. I'll take you through every step of the framework and give it to you. I'll give you the resources, the techniques, so that you really make progress and that you become limitless. So I'm opening up my Limitless Success Academy now for just a few days until next week on Tuesday. You can't buy it all the time. This is how it works. So in my academy package, you get the Become Limitless training. So that's the 12 modules across those 5 steps. That you do over 12 weeks. So there's a module a week for 12 weeks. It takes you about an hour to do, and you follow that fresh framework that I've gone through with you with the 5 steps that I've explained that you need to follow. It's online, it's on demand, so you can do it at a time to suit you. The modules are already varied, and I do that to keep it interesting so you enjoy doing the work. And so there are videos, reprogramming techniques, there are worksheets, there are audios, there's a stack of resources there. But there's not any more there than you actually need. So I've tried to keep it into a manageable amount for people to get done so that they just get the result that they want. So the modules are released weekly across 12 weeks, and you do the work each week, so that at the end of the 12 weeks, you've actually completed it. So it's not one of these programs where you like sit and listen along. You're actually doing the work all of the time. You're working on yourself, and the majority of the actual change work is done in the first 6 weeks. That's when the biggest shift really happens. But you'll see changes every single week. And then also you'll get extra support. So in the whole academy package, you'll also get this. Because what I want you to really do is like really embed the learning so that you don't fall back into old habits and you go on to really thrive and excel. So I'll give you 12 months of support. So across that 12 months, you'll get access to 2 group coaching workshops per month, and they're live workshops those, so they're done one lunchtime and one evening per month, and I'll support you to take these steps. So every month I deliver the content to you in new ways, so you really connect with it and make the changes, and all the calls are recorded, so if you can't make one, you can just follow up on it. Then there's also access to my feedback and answers to any questions from my online community. So that's open all the time. You can go in and ask a question anytime if you're stuck on something, and I will help you with how to move forward, because I would hate to think that anybody sat waiting until the next group coaching call in order to move forward. So that's there for you all the time. And then I also give you accountability and support to get this done, because it's so easy just to let yourself down, isn't it? You are the easiest person in the world to let down. We all could so easily do that to ourselves. But when you commit to me and to other people, you actually get the work done. And I'm there to encourage you, to support you, and then you get it done, and it feels great too. And people in the community celebrate that on the calls. When we talk about successes, people love that. They really, really support each other. And then there's an extra bonus. I also give you my productivity blueprint course that sharpens your productivity so that you focus on high value activities and you're certain you're not wasting time, so that you've actually got the capacity before you even start to do the course. The extra support on its own without the course itself is actually worth all of this. And I hadn't been pulling this out, but actually there's so much value in the extra support I'm offering. But I do that because I really want you to succeed and have the support you need for 12 months. But that on its own, I think I've worked that out at about £2,800. So for the core Become Limitless training and all that extra support across 12 months, the investment is £997 plus VAT as a one-off, or it's £97 plus VAT for 12 months, which I think you'll agree, or I believe firmly, that it's exceptional value for everything that's covered off there. So if you're sat here though thinking, do you know what, actually I don't want to do a programme, I want one-to-one support, I don't want to do that, then I do have a very limited number of one-to-one coaching slots, and you can book a call and discuss that option with me if that's something that you would like. So I realise I'm at 12 o'clock, so if you are starting to think this is something you want and you need to dial off, then feel free to book a call. If not, just to finish off, and then we'll be on the Q&A, you might wonder why this programme gets results. It gets results because, as I've said already, you're reprogramming your mind instead of trying to change your behavior at a surface level, which lots of people have tried already. It works because you're reprogramming your brain to show up as your best self with impact and conviction. And Colin says this, he said, by the way, he's got a military background, if you wonder what the reference to cavalry is, rather than, I don't know, drones. So he said once that I said it was hard to lead a cavalry if you think you look funny on a horse, and for him that was resonating. And he knew he needed to feel like a leader so that he was showing up with conviction. And so he says the program liberated him from known and unknown beliefs, and he heartily recommends it to others. And then it also moves you forward and works because you reprogram your brain so you deal with difficult situations and influence others effortlessly. Like Jimmy, he says this, I guided him to addressing internal challenges and dealing with difficult situations and people. And these changes, they aren't superficial, they are deep down lifelong changes. It also gets results because you reprogram your brain to figure out why you've been avoiding things, and it gets you into action quickly. You reprogram your brain for action, visibility and self-promotion. Like Kelly, she says she's been finding it hard to take action and move her business forward, and she didn't know why. And she was surprised by how deep we dived to uncover what was holding her back. And so her perspective started to shift, and she started to take action and felt empowered in her business to promote herself more now. And it also works because you are proactive and you seek out opportunity, you feel sure and confident, and it helps you to close sales, and results become fast. Like Becky, she says she knew she could achieve more, but she was holding back, playing it safe, procrastinating. And now she's stopped holding back. She's looking at where she's spending her time. She's more proactive in opportunities. And for her, she made more sales in 3 days after the program than she had in the whole of the previous month. And it also works because you have a toolkit that you can take with you for life so that you have maximum impact. And so if you're sat here thinking that you really want to move forward in your life and you want to achieve that limitless success too, then the next step is to book on to a strategy call. And on that call, it's a free call. We'll talk about what you want to achieve or change, what's getting in the way. We'll create a plan for you to get there. The vehicle you would use, unless you want a one-to-one program, is my Limitless Success program. And on the call, you'll find out if I'm the right person for you. And I'll find out if you're the right person for me. It gives us the opportunity to find out if we can work together and we're a good match for each other. You know, just like you, I want you to be successful, and I need you to be committed to the change for that to happen. So if, having heard all of this, you've got questions, I'm going to open up my Q&A for you now, or you can book a call and speak to me directly. As I said, I've got limited calls. Once they're gone, they're gone. If you'd like one, grab one now. So let's open up the Q&A, see who we've got here live. So, we've still got a lot of people on. Okay, so let me see what's in the Q&A then. So, we haven't got anything in the Q&A. So does that mean you don't have any questions? Yeah, someone's had to go off to another meeting. I've overrun just slightly there. Sorry about that. Right. So does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? Because I'm really happy to answer anything. I'll tell you as much as I possibly can, or answer as best I can for you. So does anybody have any question? Here we go. Oh, what was number one? Let's go back to what number one. Let me see if I can find it in my notes here. Hang on a minute. I've got it here. No, I don't. It's over here. Otherwise I'll be flipping back through loads of slides. So number one, setting goals, but actually losing sight of them so that you just as well really not upset them. And so what you find is then that you lose focus on where you're going, and you lose focus on where you're going. And so the day just seems to control you, and you just get really distracted by things. And then you get to 5 o'clock and you're like, just as well leave that until tomorrow. And so what you're not doing is doing the things that are needed to really move you forward, because you're just getting focused on and bogged down in like the daily emails and to-do list, and kind of the stuff that's happening, and not focusing on those really big important tasks that would actually help you achieve your goals. So that was what number one was, Charlotte. So what's going on here in the chat? So anybody else got any other questions before we dial off now? Quite often people will hang on and see what questions other people are asking. So if you have got one, please do feel free to ask. You're really welcome. So yeah, please do feel free to ask. I'm really super happy to help answer any questions. Okay, who we still? We've still got a lot of people still live. So are there people with questions that they would like to ask? What's going on here? Can we get the recording? Yes, you can get the recording. What will happen is I'll email that out to you at some point later on this afternoon, and it'll be available just for a few days for you to rewatch if you'd like to. So absolutely. Any other questions? No, we do still have a lot of people on though. So yeah, there's still lots of people here. So are there any other questions people have got that are sitting wondering but don't like to ask? Here we go, something. Someone saying thank you, very welcome. Oh, you've given me your email address. Well, I should have your email address already. If that's not the one you've registered with, you'll need to re-register with it, because I'm not going to be able to take that out of the chat now. But if you registered through Eventbrite, or then you might find that it's in your junk folder, so you'll have had a reminder from me today, and that could have gone to junk. So have a look there and just check we're connected. If it's not the right email address, then either email it to me in a minute or just re-register for the masterclass so that I've got it again. Okay, thanks for that. That was my question. Okay, perfect. I'm glad that some people wanted to rewatch. I think you get more from it the second time around. And I have lots of people that will attend multiple of these. So looks great, but you haven't got the fee. I mean, I would never encourage anyone that doesn't have the fee to join. Equally, I think there's a piece about sort of investing in yourself in the future. So yeah, if you don't have the fee, absolutely, then I wouldn't recommend anyone getting a credit card out or anything like that to do it. But I think when you can afford to invest in this type of work, from my own experience, if I think back to when I wanted to start a business, if I'd have had the right mindset then, I just would have been so much further forward now. So I think when the time is right for you and you can afford to invest, whether that's me or whether you want to do that with somebody else, you know, I would really wholeheartedly recommend you invest if you feel like you're holding yourself back. Yeah, you registered from Eventbrite. Okay, so there should be, so if you didn't use that email address, I'll try and make a note of that now for you, and let me screenshot it, and then I'll get that sorted for you. Hold on a minute, that was the way to do it. Here we go. Right, got it. So I'll sort that out for you in a minute and just check we've got that. But check your junk mail later if you're wanting a recording, because as I say, some of it will go to junk. Okay, still a lot of people live, so if people have got questions, if not, I'm going to assume, oh, here we are. Thank you, you're very welcome. Okay, look, I'm going to assume, I do this all the time and then someone drops a question in. I'm going to assume there are no more questions and finish off now. If anyone does have a question, they didn't want to ask it here, then, you know, either book a call to talk about it, or like email me, send me a DM on LinkedIn or on Facebook. You'll find me Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. So you can use any of those platforms to get in touch with me. But you've been a real pleasure today. Thank you so much for all the interaction. It's been brilliant. I love it when people interact like this. As I say, if there are any questions, then reach out to me and I'll look forward to seeing some of you on your free personal strategy call. So take care for now.